Thank you so much for coming back, everyone. Cybersecurity remains one of the most pressing policy and operational challenges in our sector. As threats evolve, so too must our strategies for defense, resilience, collaboration, and trust. This session, Cybersecurity Priorities, begins with a keynote from Brian Scriber, Chief Information and Security Officer at CableLabs. He'll walk us through how the industry is strengthening its security posture and collaborating across public and private sectors. Please welcome Brian.
Hello. Is this working? Can you guys hear me all right? All right, perfect. My name's Brian Scriber, and I'm the CISO at CableLabs. I do not speak for the industry, but I am going to give you some insights into the industry, particularly around cybersecurity today. So I want to start and thank NCTA. Appreciate the stage and the opportunity to do some of this. I want to thank CableLabs membership and all of the vendor community that makes up this ecosystem. We all have a part to play in cybersecurity, and this is how we're going to do that. Now, all of you should have this wonderful document so you can follow along. All right, this goes home with you, and it goes on your wall. You need to pin it there, and when anybody asks, hey, you know, what's Cable doing on the cybersecurity front, you can pull this off the wall and say, oh my God, I have the perfect answer for you. So to get started, our broadband networks are not just for watching television. They're not just for the Zoom call here and there. Our economy runs on this. Our healthcare runs on this. And to some degree, our national defense, independent of which nation you're in, is part and parcel to what we're doing inside this industry. Our private networks are very important. I'm going to talk a little bit about the landscape because we need to understand the threat actors in this space. I'm going to talk a little bit about the commitment that we're making here, and then I'm going to talk about how collaboration works and how all of us together come together and really drive standards, drive practice, and protect not just our networks, but our loved ones from the types of threats that exist out there. So let's see if we can get started. So the landscape, cyber is about risk management and economics. It's not necessarily about technology. It's really about how do you want to manage risk and what type of risk are we looking at. Threats are different in the cyberspace than they are in a lot of other spaces. I have a lot of colleagues that I went to school with, mechanical engineers. They talk about the types of risks they face. So they're going to build a bridge, and they have weather, time, and how big a truck is that needs to drive across it. And I laugh at that because in cyber, as soon as we engineer something, there's somebody on the other side of that table that's figuring out what did you do and how can I get around it because I would like to perpetrate fraud on this. I would like to figure out a way to monetize the work that you're doing. And our job is to try to make the barrier that they have to cross more expensive than anything that they can glean from our networks. So if we can do that, it doesn't make sense economically to be attacked. So that's our goal. Isn't to be perfect, it's to be more expensive to attack than any value that they could extract. And if we do that, that's how we define winning. So the types of threats, I hope I didn't, maybe I advanced that perfectly. The types of threats that we face, I put this chart together to kind of demonstrate that kind of that air traffic control view of what are we looking at? Some threats are larger than others. Some threats are closer than others. Some threats are moving faster than other threats. So how do we make sure we prioritize our efforts the right way? We can't forget about any threats, but there are a couple on here that I think are worth pointing out. So the APTs, the Advanced Persistent Threats, these are nation state actors. These are not hypothetical threats. So this is not yeah, good thing we don't have to worry about a nation state attacking us. Nation states are attacking us. They are in our networks. They are there now. They are looking for other places to embed. And we want to make sure that what we do in our networks protects the subscribers in that space and protects us as network operators so that we aren't facing some of that same threat. Misconfiguration is on this list. So has anybody ever misconfigured anything? Your email, it happens, right? This is one of those things that can take place. And if you're misconfiguring and you are in charge of BGP, which is the Border Gateway Protocol, and you accidentally do this incorrectly, you may have just taken your network off the internet for could be well, certainly it's well longer than you wanted, but you may not be able to recover quickly. So there's work that we're doing, and I'm going to talk about this a bit in the commitment side, but this is not about talk. This is about doing things. And what we're doing is we're making it easier and easier to understand and kind of pave the way for people who are in these roles so that they understand how to make these kinds of changes, because misconfigurations is on this list because it is a threat. It happens and we need to be aware of it. So it's an interesting one, but it's worth talking about. Has anybody heard anybody talk about AI in this show at all and ever? So threat actors are using AI to attack and to augment their different styles of attack. Automation was bad enough. Amplification was bad enough, but now you have AI and automation and amplification, so we have to react and we have to be ahead of those threat actors, and we have to, again, make things more expensive for them and harder to end up kind of attacking us. I'm going to talk super briefly about one on here because I'm going to be queuing up David White, who's going to come on stage after me, and he's going to talk about residential proxies. This is one of those threats that we will hear more about in the future, but I wanted to call it out especially now. And then the last one up here that I'm going to talk about isn't as much a threat as it is something we have to be aware of. When we created cryptography, and by we, I mean humanity, so this is we in the very large sense. Good job, us. We created this great tool that allows us to, right here in front of everybody, we could have an exchange of information. You could all listen. And when I talk to Rudy, we could end up, and Rudy and I will have a secret, and all of you heard every single thing that we just communicated, and you won't be able to understand our secret. It was a phenomenal piece of technology and advancement. The math for this, it's what you've heard of as RSA. It's the handshake and the exchange of keys. This allows modern commerce to take place. However, some of the advancements in quantum computing may offer risks to this exchange. So we have to come up with alternatives. Good news is we've got some alternatives. Bad news is we have some alternatives and we don't have an alternative. So we're going to get there and we're going to make that advancement. But it's an important piece that fits in here. So where does security fit in the overall ecosystem, and how? Hit that? Let's get you to this slide. Where does this fit with the CableLabs view of eras, right? We have talked about this slide. You've seen this slide before. It's been on the main stage. The speed era is kind of in its kind of upward trend. We're kind of in the logarithmic section of that, and we're in the experience era. And if we want to look at advances, we're going to talk about how do people interact with our networks? What do those folks do in the network that gives them the experience that they're going to be happy with? Well, you interact with networks through your devices. So whether that's at home, whether it's your Ring doorbell, whatever devices you have, your mobile phone, your watch, your computer, your tablet, everything that you do that is an electronic component is how you interact in this digital world. And if we can make that so secure, but so easy for you that it's almost transparent, you don't see that security, then we're doing our job. If we make it so you have to jump through 6 more hoops and you have to call tech support and reset your 5 millionth password, we're doing it wrong. So it's how do we make this simple? How do we make this easy? That's the big part of how we're going to fit in this experience era. Security up till now in this speed area, security was hey, table stakes, you have to have it, it's going to be important. We don't want to not have it, and we have the economic issue. Today, security becomes a differentiator. This becomes how do you interact with your subscribers in a way that separates you from competitors? How is your network easier to use? How is your network safer? How is your network more secure? Those are the pieces that are going to make a difference. This is how security fits as we go forward. So this is why I'm excited about this. I hope you guys are too. The IoT mobile devices, I think we talked about that. Maybe it's because I'm holding it behind here. So inside CableLabs Tech Vision, this is where security fits. We are one part of a much larger whole. So security is not the only issue. Security and privacy evolution fit inside a lot of work that's happening. So it's not the only thing, but it's clearly the most important thing. So, all right. Often my peers are here, and that's a nice jab at them. But all right. So the cybersecurity commitment. Everybody know who Billy Idol is? Yeah. All right. I have to ask. He actually has a newer album, and one of the lines in there, and a song I like, is "Talk is cheap, or so I'm told." And I just love the irony of that because it fits with, hey, are we making a commitment? Are we here just to talk about stuff? You know, we can jump on stage and we can talk, but the real truth is, what are you doing? How are you engaging? What have you delivered? How do we measure this? Where's security fit in this ecosystem? How do I sell more products because I've got a more secure ecosystem? That's the part of this that I think is going to be fun. We are involved in all the projects that happen in cable. And by we, security practitioners, and they should be. And they should be there from the very beginning. But what we're doing inside CableLabs, there are 6 main areas in the center. Those are our primary vectors. What are we doing? How are we delivering in this space? This is part of the commitment that we're making. Not a statement, not a phrase. This isn't our cybersecurity phrase. This is our cybersecurity commitment. And this is to the subscribers. This is to you, the operators. This is to the vendor community. This is a commitment. We are continuing to look in this space, and we're working on solutions. So supply chain, infrastructure, there are threats here. We're looking at how do we stop that, and we're publishing on this. We're working with the practitioners on real practicable opportunities. Cryptography, we're looking at the advances in cryptography. We're explaining how it can work with cable. We're working with the vendors. We're engaging. We're talking about what can go in, what's hard to go in, how do we get around this curve and advance it. AI security. How do you protect your network from threats that use AI? How do you protect your AI? How do you even know if the AI you downloaded off Hugging Face doesn't have malware in it? when you put it on your engineering computer behind your firewall? It's pretty hard, is the quick answer to that. It is a dangerous space, and it's frightening how little time others are spending on the security elements of AI, and we are driving this. We're trying to create that forum for people. We're trying to get them engaged on that front. We've got a number of labs. CableLabs runs the PKI that is the backbone for the entire cable industry. So every DOCSIS cable modem has a bunch of certificates in there. Those certificates are run out of CableLabs, our team. We know what's going on. We know which device is real. And because we do, you guys as operators also know which device is real. So that is an incredibly important role, and we take it very seriously. We do manage the trust in this ecosystem, and in no small way. This is a massive responsibility. It's part of our commitment. We will continue to do this, and we will continue to drive the type of cryptography in there that is resilient to the quantum threat, and we're pushing the boundaries all the time. So we are looking at that. Secure smart homes, all those devices in your home, we want to make sure that they operate the way you expect them to operate, not the way the threat actor expects them to operate. We don't need a home full of botnets. We need a home filled with devices that do what you bought them for and to make your life easier. Back to the experience era. That's how you experience the network. Safety and the security of that, the trust that consumers put inside our network operators, that's the commitment that we're making to you. So we're involved in a number of these different elements on here. You have this in your handout, so you can dive in and at your leisure and on the plane, and when you get home and talk to your spouse, you can show them this, and you guys can talk about it at the dinner table and say, what else do they do? And you can ask them if they can guess what else is on the list. But the part on that last slide that I didn't cover was tech policy. I think there's an interesting change on the policy angle and the amount of effort that we're spending on tech policy as an industry. If you look 10 years ago, it was really Spectrum was the issue. And now cybersecurity, because of its role in the national security in the home, this is definitely one of those areas that we are spending a good amount of time looking at and advising and really helping to inform the industry. So that the tech policy is something we take very seriously. This slide, the 4 different areas where we deliver value inside the home, gateway device security, how do we make the modems safer? We aren't just about DOCSIS. We aren't just talking about the protocol security. What we're talking about is, hey, does this thing have secure boot? How is it protecting the key information? How is it getting updates? When is it getting updates? Are those updates signed? Are they co-signed? Is it the vendor and the operator signing this? How can I know for sure that I can trust this update? How do I know it's the device I want it to be? The enterprise, we're doing a lot of work in the business solutions for operators. So we're really trying to make sure that like ransomware tools are available for folks. Network infrastructure. This is where we're looking at, of course, DOCSIS. We're looking at PON and the security for PON. We're looking at how mobile devices, we show up at 3GPP. I'm going to talk about this on the next slide, but we work on security for mobile devices. And then the internet ecosystem, I talked briefly about BGP, which sounds kind of a little random. It sounds like I made up the acronym, but this is the Border Gateway Protocol. This is how bits get around on the internet. This is the Google Maps of the internet. And if you screw up your BGP, you can screw up how people don't get to your house. And if that was the intention, if the in-laws are coming for New Year's, but you don't really want them to, right? That's what's going on here. But really, the work we're doing is how to make this easy to understand and easy to use for folks. So I hit that. There we go. So public-private collaboration. I'm going to gonna bring this slide up. We no longer are the only place where there is a discussion around security. It used to be, 20 years ago, DOCSIS security. You go to CableLabs, we define security. This is how it's going to work. And if you're a vendor, you don't get certified unless you follow this, and that's how it works. Now, security is global. And in order to do this, we have to engage in a number of different organizations. 3GPP on the mobile front, we're incredibly effective there. When we talk about CSA on the IoT side, we're effective there. We engage with NIST, we engage with CBRS. We are almost all over. We're selective, but when we show up, we're effective. So selective and effective on this, that's the main part of our engagement. And then the final slide that I'm going to leave you guys with before I bring David up here, this is a summary of what you have in your hand. We are probably the 5 big takeaways. The experience is important, simplicity of security, the collaboration. We have to do this globally. We have to work across industries. We have to work with standards bodies. That's how we're going to be effective. We need to invent. We need to innovate. That's part of our job, but that's also part of all of our job. So when we find new ways to do things, we have to communicate that. And then, of course, the outcomes, where we deliver on this commitment. We deliver in the home, we deliver in the enterprise, we deliver inside the core network, and we deliver on the internet ecosystem. So with that, what's the most important attribute right now? Security. Let's try. No, I won't do that. All right. Thank you for being a great audience. Appreciate it.